Good morning, everyone. We'll call the commission to order. First item is the consent items. We have two sets of minutes. We have the May 21st and the April 16th minutes. And then also the treasurer's report. Are there any additions or corrections to either of those? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve both sets of minutes and the treasurer's report.
Move approval.
And
Second.
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 All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The action items, introduction to members. Mike, you want to address that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we're very delighted to have three new members here today. And I want to first start out with, we'll go in alphabetical order. We have Mr. Roger Bergman here in the blue shirt. Roger is from the city of Golden Valley, and he is serving on the Cable Commission as one of its representatives. Roger replaces Joan Russell. As you know, Joan was on the Cable Commission for approximately 20 years, so we want to welcome Roger Bergman. And I don't know if you want to say a couple of words?
No.
You have a commercial.
Things you just said.
Okay. All right. Next, we want to introduce Riley Grams, who's over here to my right. Riley is the city administrator for the city of Osseo and will be serving on both the Northwest Community Television Board of Directors and the Northwest Suburbs Cable Communications Commission. Riley Grams replaces longtime NWCT Board and Cable Commission member Doug Reeder, who has retired or sort of retired. So welcome, Riley. I didn't know if you wanted to say any words. Okay. And then finally, Cheryl Weiler over here. Cheryl is also with the city of Golden Valley, and she is the communications manager. And she was recently appointed by the city of Golden Valley to serve on the Northwest Community Television Board. And Cheryl replaces Tom Birch, who I think is either retired or about to retire.
He's retired now.
He's retired, okay. So that's our new member, so we want to welcome you. Okay.
Next item is the 2014 audit report, attachment number 4 in your agenda.
Mr. Chair, I want to introduce Andrew Berg from Abdo, Ike & Myers. We've been working with Abdo, Ike & Myers for several years now, and Andrew will do the presentation.
All right, thank you. I'll just go through a quick summary of the audit results. I believe in front of you have our management letter and the actual audit too. I'll run through the management letter. I'd be happy to take any questions on the actual financial statements too. The end result of our audit is that we issued an opinion on your financial statements. We issued an unmodified opinion or clean opinion. We also issue a letter on Minnesota legal compliance, a clean opinion there. So a completely clean audit, best opinion you can get with no findings. So the audit went well. So a quick summary of some of the financial information starting on page 4 of the management letter. So the smaller of the two documents you have with the clear cover. Here we look at a 5-year history of the Commission's general fund balance in relation to the next year's budget. You'll see the blue line is the ending fund balance, which increased in dollar amounts from 2013 to 14. Up to about 4.8 million from 4.3 million. If we look at that compared to your next year's budget, it's at about 77%, which is a decrease from 82% from the prior year, mainly due to the 2015 budget increasing over the 2014 budget. Looking on page 5, we'll give the activity compared to budget of the commission and the Access Corporation. So the top table there is just the commission, the general fund. Total revenues at about 5.2 million, above budget by 218,000, mainly due to a capital grant received as part of the franchise renewal. Expenditures fairly close to budget, under budget by about 54,000. You do transfer into the Access Corporation. You budgeted for about 4.6 million, transferred about 4 million. So under budget by about 545,000, which again, you'll see down in the Access Corporation. That's the main funding source there, the transfer in. Identical to above, so under budget by about 445,000. In the Access Corporation, fairly minimal revenues at about 47,000. Expenses came in under budget. Total expenses about 4.2 million compared to budgeted of 4.6 million, so under budget by about 380,000. Mainly in the program services function related to salaries and benefits. Now we look at the organization as a whole on page 6. The first graph there is the total revenues over a 3-year period. The blue bar is the budget. The red is actual, so you'll see, like we saw in the previous, revenues higher than budget. So the red bar in 2014 is higher than the blue, the budget. Also an increase over 2013. The total expenses in the second graph there, you'll see came in under budget, the red bar compared to the blue bar, and has been under budget in both 2013 and 2014, with a slight increase in total expenses from 2013 to 14. Now the breakdown of the revenue is on page 7 in comparison to 2014 and 2013. As you can see, the breakdown fairly consistent from year to year. The other piece, that green piece of the pie, did increase up to about 5%, mainly due to that capital grant that I talked about when we were looking at the general fund. Otherwise, the makeup of the revenue source is fairly consistent. Now, if we look at a longer term trend of the revenues on page 8, here's a 10-year trend of total revenues, the green bar, at almost 5.3 million in 2014, and then looking at the franchise fees and the access fees in total dollars and a percent of total revenue. You can see the franchise fee, the blue line, has increased over the last 10 years. In 2014 at about 76% of the total revenue. That percentage dropped a little bit, but mainly due to that capital grant received that wasn't there in previous years. The access fees fairly consistent, right around that 18-19% of total revenue. And then the last thing on that page is just mentioning the compensated absences payable. The accrued vacation and sick at the end of the year was about 370,000. The last item I want to touch on, which you've probably heard in your member cities, page 9, is GASB statement number 68, the pension standard. I did mention this last year too. 2015 is going to be the year of implementation. So in the 2015 financial statements, you'll currently prepare as a unfunded net pension liability. All the member employers of PAIR will be required to record their pro rata share of that liability on the face of their government-wide financial statements. So that'll be a fairly significant change for the 2015 reporting. With that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions regarding the 2014 audit report? Appears to be none. I'd like to have a motion to accept it.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? Over there. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you for being with us. Yes.
Mr. Chair, I want to thank Wendy Brierly for all her work, working with the auditors directly. She spent a lot of time getting all the paperwork together, so when you have a clean audit like that, I think that says a lot in terms of how we handle our paperwork here, so thanks, Wendy.
Yes, thank you. 2013 investment report. Paul?
Yes, thank you, Alan. Thank you. I'd like to start off with a
15.
comment. I didn't know we were being filmed here, but the bond market has been really pretty quiet for most of the year, but that could change after today. The Federal Reserve is meeting, and there's speculation that they could raise rates. But we're getting, I guess, mixed data. I guess unemployment is, they're saying that it's low at 5.5%. But if you look at the participation rate, which is the unemployment participation rate, that's as low as it's ever been, at least for the last 30 years. So we're getting conflicting interest rates. I don't know quite, if the Fed is going to raise rates. But our portfolio has stayed pretty steady. We're hovering around the 2 million mark, and the current yield is 1.35%. The the annual return has been 1.23%, and I'm estimating that for the year we'll come in at about 1.25 to 1.5%. I did a little bit of a recap of the 10-year average return, the 5-year average return, and the 3-year average return. And rates have been low for the last 7-8 years. So slowly going down. We're at a point where we're as low as the Feds can actually make it, 0% actually. But the portfolio is being managed with the lowest duration risk. So I'm trying to maintain the lowest duration risk as opposed to having the interest rates rise. I do think at some point the Federal Reserve will raise rates, but we're positioned to take the least amount of dents, I guess, if to put it in perspective. If they raise 0.25 to maybe 0.5%, we could see our portfolio maybe maintain at a level of, or maybe drop about the same commensurate to the rise in rates. One area that I would avoid right now, and I'm looking for the managers that are the mutual funds, is a little bit of what's called style drift, and they're trying to go after the higher rate, the high yield market, but that is an area that I would avoid right now, and I'm watching the portfolio manager of these mutual funds that they don't go into those types of funds. It's just that I think the high yield market has been low, and I think there's some credit risk there. The other thing that I'm watching is not so much on our individual micro portfolio, but I'm looking at some of the currency movements, and everybody thought that the dollar was actually going to go down against relative currencies, and just the opposite has happened. We've got, the dollar has gotten stronger relative to the euro, relative to other major currencies, and that in turn could be a risk in terms of equities because of the currency exchange. But that has somewhat affect our portfolio, but I'm trying to manage the portfolio to have the lowest duration risk and at least get some kind of rate of return of 1 to 1.5%. So, and we've done that over the last couple of years. I don't see a lot of change happening, but I do keep an eye out for what I think it's going to happen. Rates will rise, and that's what I'm trying to manage the portfolio, that type of risk. So, and the expenses, the 12B1 expenses are approximately 0.45%, which comes out to be a little over $8,900. That's the expense of what's called the 12B1 expense on the funds. I'm open for any questions or anything, if you have any questions. Yeah.
I note that the, under your total mutual funds, they're down about $33,000 for the period.
Right.
Is that just a market fluctuation for a snapshot, or is that
No,
something?
that's correct. That is because the interest rates have gone up just slightly, and we're offsetting that with the current yield. So if that's market to market, and that's why we're off, because that's a variation, because as interest rates rise, bond prices lower, and that's just a fluctuation there.
And the Deutsche Short Duration Fund appears to be the one that's taken the largest hit.
Right.
Is that because of foreign currency valuations or the changes in the economic condition of Europe itself vis-a-vis the United States?
It's basically because of the interest rates, the instruments, the bonds that they have in there have lowered because of a rise in interest rates.
Any other questions?
One thing I do want to comment, though, our duration, if I would make an estimate of duration is a factor of how sensitive the bond market or our portfolio will react to a movement in interest rates. And right now, our duration is about, I would say, overall, it's about two and a half years. So that would mean if interest rates would go up by 1%, we would probably go down about 1%, maybe 1 to 2. Very short, as opposed to like a 10-year average, which would be quite a bit of movement. To put it in perspective, a 1% move on a bond portfolio that has a duration of 10 years would drop by 10%. So 1% movement in interest rates would drop the entire portfolio by 10%, which is very, very sensitive. So we could be off like $200,000 if in that respect. So trying to keep it short, and that's all we can do in this kind of environment. Any other questions?
If not, entertain a motion to accept the 2015 investment report. Motion is made. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Opposed? Thank you. Carried.
Thank you, Mike.
Paul, thank you. Next item is proposed 2016 budget. Mike?
Sure, Mr. Chair, want to point you to the packet here that says NWCT and NWSCC 2016 proposed budgets. We will be going through this in further detail later on with the Budget and Executive Committee that will meet after our meeting today. But I'm not going to read through every single page here, but I want to bring you to the graph that we have. We have two graphs in there, basically. One is the average cable subscriber count by year, and then the other one will have the revenue. So we'll start with that, and I want to mention that in 2006, the number of cable subscribers in our franchise area was approximately 72,744. The cable subscriber count graph will show you a steady increase in subscribers from 2005 to 2010, with a peak of 76,976 cable subscribers, and then a downward trend from 2011 to 2015 to an estimated 72,050. So, now we're at a point where we're less than the number of cable subscribers there were in 2006. However, If you look at the next graph, between the years 2012 and 2015, franchise fees have grown an average of 2.93% a year, and our revenue projection has franchise fees now going forward about 2% a year within our revenue projection from 2015 to 2022. And you can see the 10-year history of our franchise fees on the graph that that you're looking at right now. Now, franchise fees equal about 5% of the cable company's gross revenues, and again, that's for traditional cable services. If we were to get, many, many years ago when they first started offering internet, that would probably be double this, because they're really they make a lot of money on the internet service, but we do not receive any of their internet revenue or telephone service revenue. Again, it's just for traditional cable services. The community television program fee was something that was negotiated the last time around with the negotiating committee. We went from $1 a month per subscriber to $1.36 per month per subscriber, and I want to thank the negotiating committee for getting that implemented immediately, because that had a significant impact. Rather than in the past we do these little incremental increases, and here we just did a one-time increase, and then it'll basically stay that way for the duration of the franchise agreement. Therefore, not having it change every time subscribers look at their bill and go, oh, why did this go up? Or, it'll basically lock in. And you could see as a result of that, if you look at this graph here, you will see that although cable subscribers have gone down, our revenue in this particular category has gone up. Now, with that said, over time, my biggest concern at this point is the cable subscriber numbers. If they keep that downward trend, as you see, if you go back to that cable subscriber graph, though, there seems to be somewhat of I wouldn't say total leveling off, but not as a steep decline that we saw earlier. So hopefully, through the advent of additional cable subscribers that Comcast picks up, for instance, I know they're working on they'll be adding more homes in a build-out in the city of Plymouth. And there's a significant amount of subscribers they could add from that. And we do have a Comcast rep here who will be just making a few comments later on all the things that are happening with Comcast. So anyway, but it's something we keep a sharp eye on. Again, the franchise fee is critical. But I'm very thankful that we locked in that per subscriber fee when we did. So you will see the revenue actually at this point in time looks pretty good. Take you to the next graph here, or a spreadsheet. Very detailed, but it's basically revenue projections from our current year all the way up to 2022. This has been a very helpful document for us in terms of planning and looking at the future. You will see in 2015 our combined operating budget listed there at $4.5 million, and then we've got all the capital money below that. So we show our revenue coming in, and then we show our expenditures. And at the very, very bottom of the page, you can see how we've, how we've estimated revenue growth. Now, obviously, our revenue growth now compared to, with the exception of the cable subscriber fee, at some points went up like 6, 7, 8%. And that is when the cable company was really doing some major increases. This would have been 6, 7, 8 years ago in terms of the cable rate. But things have leveled off a little bit, and I think with competition eventually as well, when CenturyLink enters the market, you might possibly see some price wars and some leveling off there. So the 4-year average has been about 2.93%. And then, but within our projections, we're only showing 2%. Again, I always like to take this from a conservative standpoint and never just say, well, let's put 2.93, because we just don't know. So we take it from year to year, and then we adjust the projection as needed. Are there any questions so far on any of that? Okay.
Mike, on the average cable subscriber count.
Yes.
Is there something in particular that triggered the downturn starting 2011?
Let's see. Well, that's a good question, and I don't know if the satellite industry really got more into their marketing, or it just kind of, peaked at that level. I mean, if you look at what the satellite industry is doing, it's phenomenal. I mean, their marketing, their ads, I mean, I think they have some of the best ads on TV, but I think the cable company is starting to counter. They're doing a good job at marketing. Just that some of the, for instance, direct TV ads where they have, Rob Lowe, the great guy, and Rob Lowe, they do the two people, they have athletes doing these commercials. I think those types of things, their marketing is phenomenal. But with that, people have a choice then too. So it's not like people have not had a choice between services. The next go around is they'll have a choice between maybe two line services, but I can't point directly to one specific thing. All right, moving on. The budget.
We could actually do our own version of Rob Lowe with Dave, I think.
Yeah, these guys.
Set you up that way?
We'll work on that. Maybe we could get him to be a Comcast spokesperson. We'll see.
Mike, if I can ask,
Sure.
has there been any type of tracking system via surveys or any input from consumers regarding their satisfaction of the services?
Yeah, I mean, we've done surveys in the past, and we'll be doing a survey next year. We were going to try to do one this year, but for a multiple number of reasons, switching over to HD and waiting for some information from the cable company, we're waiting one more year. But if anybody knows about the satisfaction of subscribers, it's either me and Wendy and some of our other staff who field calls. But I will say this. On average, we get a couple of calls a week in terms of maybe a disgruntled cable subscriber. But when you look at it, when you look at the whole piece of the pie there, you've got roughly 70 up to 75,000 homes. A couple of calls a week is not out of the question in terms of off the charts bad. And in every case, the cable company has handled all those, any complaints we get, the cable company has done a great job in handling customers that we pass on to them. So, all right. You'll see the Northwest Community Television budget laid out there. Again, all the details. I'm not going to, I'll just highlight a couple of things without going through every single line item. At this point, we're proposing a 3% increase in salaries and benefits. I did a survey amongst the cities, and it's averaging anywhere between 2 and roughly 3% in terms of what they're proposing. Over the past, over the past 6 years, the overall increase divided over 6 years has been about 1.5% total. We had some years where there were no increases, or 1% or 1.5%. So with our survey, and we also do surveys with the NAB, the National Association of Broadcasters, has a scientific survey, and of course we get the same data on the League of Minnesota Cities Survey Navigator to help us in terms of our figuring out our pay plan. So that's what we're proposing for salary and benefits. And down to the health side, when I talk about benefits, originally I was proposing to cover at least half, and then after some further discussion with some of our members, we moved it down to 3% to be consistent with the whole package. There comes a time where it's the healthcare cost is just, our healthcare cost is literally going up 12%. We've been getting double-digit increases every single year. So It's frustrating not only for us, it's frustrating for cities. So in this model, we're picking up 1/4 of the increase, so 25% of the of that increase, and that's why we have that number there. Let's see, moving along, we have some decreases in some budget items under equipment. We will be turning in our leased under vehicles. We will be turning in our leased vehicles in 2016. For what we do is we lease vehicles for a 3-year period, and so we lease 5 vehicles, and there's an upfront cost of $2,000 a vehicle, and so that's why that's in there. That comes up every 3 years, and then you'll see we put a little extra money in terms of the lease payment just based on overall increase in a vehicle. So that's that. Office equipment is down. Contractual services, you will see that we've added, because we have a new IP, one of the last to switch over to a internet protocol type phone system. It's all software based, and it definitely requires a lot of software upgrades and maintenance. It's a great system, staff loves it, but with that comes the cost of maintaining that. So that is a new item in there. And the system that it replaced was over 20 years old, so we're happy to have this new phone system in place. The Yellow Page advertising, we added in there, but that was actually in another budget, so that's not a new item. It was just in a different budget under telephone before that. And we need to do that for the cable subscribers, so if they are trying to get a hold of us, of course, our number is on the cable bill, but they also look there's still some people who use the old-fashioned Yellow Pages, believe it or not, to find information. Someday that may go away, or it's starting to. Let's see if there's anything. City's program allocation, we always do a 4% increase in that. That's just money divided amongst the cities. This has nothing to do with the actual capital expense that we have that on another page. There's a significant amount that we give to cities. We write out quarterly checks to each city. That's just to help in terms of covering the meetings. And then there was a decrease in Fork content management, and then some new things for software upgrades and for our automation and newsroom system. Information and promotion, we've got an increase to take advantage of some additional opportunities, advertising opportunities, and looking at doing some unique things with our standout students piece that we do with all the great students in the northwest suburbs, and some other minor increases and some decreases there. And then finally, on the last page, again, some minor increases and a decrease in janitorial services, decrease in overall, and then a decrease in reimbursable expenses. So in terms of this budget, we're looking at a 3.62% increase. And of course, the capital budget was way on the bottom, and we're going to be spending a lot less this year than we are in 2016 than we did in 2015. We've made some significant inroads into our HD upgrades, but we still have a little ways to go on that, and we'll be implementing those this next year. And let's see. And I'm not, unless anybody has any questions on all the items in the capital budget, I wasn't going to go through line by line. If not, we can just go on to the Cable Commission budget then, which will be fairly uneventful. Overall increase in that is 0.45%. You'll see that looks very similar to the Northwest Community Television budget. Mostly reductions or things stay the same. Minor increase in our membership for MACTA and NATOA. And then bank service charges. Well, the banks, of course, they got to make money somehow, so we just have a lot of these charges that we deal with, and so that just reflects that. And again, like I said, overall 0.45%. And then finally, that last page, it shows city capital expenditures, the billboarding and playback system, which we The only thing that we have in there this year is Golden Valley. Golden Valley, the city of Golden Valley was kind of on an off year in terms of their tightrope system, so that'll be replaced this next year. All the other cities were on the same schedule. Eventually, the plan would be to get Golden Valley on the same schedule, but we can't wait too long, otherwise we'll have some technical problems if we wait too long. So Golden Valley will be upgraded next year. Let's see if there's anything else. City Capital Fund, building improvements. Oh, and then finally, the building improvements. As you know, for those of you who've been on the board and commission for a while, we've, you know, at one point early on, this is about 5 years ago when we were looking at the franchise renewal, at one point we were looking at like a $7 million total redo and add-on to this building, and that idea just didn't have any legs, and so what was decided instead is to do some, you know, much-needed interior remodeling and some things that need to be done with computer rooms or front entryways, simple things as carpeting and cabinets and storage and adding some edit rooms. So it's not like extending our footprint, it's like doing things within our footprint. And so that's reflective of the roughly $330,000 proposed. There'll be couple $100,000 more next year, but nowhere close to what we talked about originally in terms of the $7 million. So we think this is a reasonable request, and all the different items are listed there. So in a nutshell, that is the budget. And again, like I said, we'll be going through it with any, you know, more detailed questions in our budget meeting. But I'd entertain any questions at this point.
I have one.
Yes.
The janitorial budget, did we lose some people? Is there a reason that there was a decrease in that budget?
Oh, no, we didn't lose any. It's just that it's more than what we need. I mean, we do extra things within that budget, like do special tile waxings and all that, and we're finding that within the budget itself, we're doing just fine. So why have that extra amount? We lowered it.
All right, because I know the people that clean up the building, I think they do a really great job.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So we're not decreasing their salaries
Okay,
or any,
thank
yeah, they do a great job.
They got
and
kids
they'll-
in school, you know.
They'll
that kind of
continue,
stuff.
yeah.
Thank you.
Mike, is there a reason Yellow Page advertising isn't under advertising?
Well, we've always had it as it used to, and that's a good question, because it used to be under telephone, like, because we'd pay that somehow separately, or within a kind of the telephone category, but certainly we could move that to that category and put it all in one lump sum of all the different things we do. I'd be more than happy to make that move as part of this budget. It's just, you know.
I don't know that I'm advocating moving. In fact, it's probably better that it not be in there, because then it reminds us that it's in there, and we at some point, probably in the really near future, aren't going to need to spend that money anymore.
Exactly.
Maybe even this year.
Yeah.
Mike, there was a piece on the news 3-4 months ago at the most that said that phone companies no longer have to publish yellow pages anymore. So it almost seems like you could, you know, draw a line through it. You know,
Yeah,
at this point.
and again, the main reason is because we're a public, or we've been a public body, and there are still, and technically I'm a senior citizen now that still enjoys using the, although I don't use the yellow pages, but I can guarantee you there are people out there that do. I don't even want to take a survey here, because I know there's not going to be a lot of hands, and I don't want to embarrass anybody.
Straight to the green bin. So-
But certainly we could remove it next year, or have it go one more year and then revisit it. It's up to the board. Any pro yellow page advertising folks?
Well, I hate to spend $4,500 for something they never do actually publish.
Well, no, but there still is a book. I mean, there are books out there. I mean, we do get books, and but the question is, yeah, are they delivered to 100% of the homes? And I don't think that's the case. If people don't want them, they can elect not to have them. So.
Right. The significant older generation, the 70s, and sometimes the 80s, we still see an Osseo lot, where they also happen to be the core cable subscribers that would never even think about getting rid of cable. they're still the people that we're seeing using that types of media. I mean, it's one of those things where you're not going to break that habit, and to some degree, good, because they're still some of our most loyal cable subscribers out there. You know, the people that are using the other options because they're becoming more hip, if you want, or their kids or their grandkids are bringing them along. Those are going to be the people that won't necessarily use that, but you know, it would be interesting to see maybe in a future year or something, since you have a voice over IP system, get a dedicated number that goes specifically to that Yellow Pages and track to see how much traffic you're getting on that number that can still be forwarded to your regular phone system.
That's a good
Make
point.
a little bit better educated decision rather than a knee-jerk reaction. Just because none of us use the Yellow Pages doesn't mean our constituents don't. Because in Osseo, that's just plain not true. I mean, most of my constituents still actually read the newspaper. I haven't picked up a newspaper in 10 years. Unless when somebody wants to say something bad about me, but that's one of the ways for us to get, I think, rather than a reaction like, you know, who the heck uses that, it's a better way for us to really take a good audit of that and make a better decision on what to do
Yeah,
with that.
we can definitely monitor that, appreciate that.
Any other questions? I'd like to have a motion to accept the presentation and refer this to the Executive Committee and the Budget Committee.
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. CenturyLink update. Leslie? You gonna hit that?
As you may recall, back at the last meeting in May, we decided to go forward with the CenturyLink application, and the negotiating committee met the first time on June 19th and has met several times throughout the summer. The last meeting was on August 14th. And we are still in the negotiating process right now. We were hopeful that we would have been able to submit it to the communities for their review period around now, but we're not quite there yet. But again, we're very hopeful. I had sent an email to CenturyLink the other day. They're going to be sending us an updated version of the franchise. We'll be taking a look at that and continue to communicate. I have spoken to other attorneys that are representing communities in the area, and they're all in about the same working at the same pace. In fact, ones that started before us are not quite there yet either. So we're really hopeful that we're going to get there. And again, going back to the concern about the downward trend, one thing that CenturyLink mentioned is that they have seen across the country is that if they are able to come into our community, some of those people who are not subscribing currently to cable do tend to sign up because it's a new provider. So that we're hopeful that that would be a positive result, that we wouldn't just be switching from Comcast customers to CenturyLink customers, but we might see an increase in cable customers. And then I put in the memorandum, I won't read through it, the process of review. Put that in. We've put it in several times for you to look at. Does anybody have any questions about that? No? All right.
Okay.
Keep right on going, Leslie.
All right, I will go ahead.
You're on a
The next
roll.
memorandum, as you may recall also from the last meeting, we just wanted to tell you guys great job for putting together a reply comment to the FCC on the in regard to over the top, which would be the customers that are leaving traditional cable and only being able to watch their television programming over the internet, which would take away from PEG fees. And we had written comments saying why we think it's important, what our concerns are, that we continue to be able to get funds from cable providers that it's still connected to the cord, and keeping in that fundamental thought that it's still connected to the cord. Other communities are now understanding what they need to do and have been communicating with the FCC. In fact, I looked on the FCC website, and if you ever are interested, I did put down the docket number, and you can go on and you can see all the communities. There's more than 150. I believe it's right around 150 communities, and then also providers have commented on this. The FCC has not decided, but we're hopeful that they are. And during the meeting that we were at last week, one of the representatives from the FCC, Gigi Stone, referred to it and said, we get it, we understand the importance for these communities to not lose out, and I think they're going to be looking at ways to help us. Thank you. Any questions?
No questions?
Okay,
Leslie, thank you.
thank you.
We have a Comcast representative with us this morning. Kate?
I'd like to introduce Kate Hensing with Comcast. Talked to Kate last week at our NATOA conference. She was kind enough to sit in my seminar, so thank you for doing that. And Comcast has some great news and some great things that are happening, and they just want to do a quick update.
Yeah, absolutely. First, I want to mention the Plymouth Pro build-out that Mike talked about earlier. Last year, Carly Warner and myself, we met with the City of Plymouth economic developer to talk about where there are businesses that are coming into the city and where they don't have any service. And it's more affordable for a city if Comcast can build out before the business gets there, because then the business doesn't have to pay for installing fiber into their area. So we recently just completed a $570,000 project for 440 additional local businesses, and so they'll have bandwidth capacity up to 100 gigabytes per second. So that expansion is along the I-494 Highway 55 corridor, Hennepin County Road 6 and 9, Fernbrook Lane, and several others. If there's any questions on that. And then, Mike, I actually was going to be emailing you later. You mentioned earlier the great students that you have here. So C-SPAN recently announced their C-SPAN Student Cam project, and their theme for 2016 is Road to the White House. And students, it's for middle school and high school, and they can submit a 5-minute project, and the grand prize is $5,000, and then it goes down. So I'll send you more information
Sure.
on that later.
Thank you.
Anything else you guys want from Comcast?
How about you were
Double your
mentioning
speeds.
some of the high-speed internet offerings too?
Yeah, so we recently, 2 weeks ago, we announced that we doubled our speeds at no cost to our internet customers. So customers that were receiving 25 now have 50. 50 went to 105, 105 went to 150. And again, that's at no cost to any of the customers. And all they have to do to get those speeds is to either reset their modem, or they can unplug the modem from their outlet, wait a few seconds and plug it back in, and then their speeds are updated to the new speeds. Pretty much it.
Okay.
No
Any
questions?
questions for Kate?
Thank you, Kate.
Thanks for
guys.
being with us. Anything else to come before the commission? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Been made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Welcome to the Board of Directors meeting. The first thing we have on our agenda are the consent items. Is there a motion on the consent items? The motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carried. The next thing we have is a presentation of our budget. We're going to do this all over again?
No, if everybody.
Excellent. Excellent. So those of you that were paying attention, unless there are some of you that are on the board and not on the commission that had any questions that you didn't feel were addressed, otherwise we'll entertain a motion to refer the budget to the executive committee and budget committee. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Executive Director report.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to mention, I mentioned the conference. Kate from Comcast was there, and several other Comcast representatives. This was a conference that I was on the planning committee for. It was the local NATOA conference, which is a National Association of Cable Executive Administrators, and we were very well represented there, not only because I had a part in the planning, but also Leslie here was a moderator, and I was a moderator speaker, and so the Northwest Cable Commission, Northwest Community Television was well represented. And Leslie did a great job there. We learned a lot. Certainly, there were quite a few attorneys there. A lot of local franchise authority executive directors and so forth and so on. We did have we usually place these ads in their booklets. This is something that, you know, we tell people about the kinds of things that we do. So I get a lot of people who come up to me at these conferences and say, wow, you're doing all these, this is an example on the screen, you know, of all the different things that we do with Channel 12 and the umbrella with Northwest Community Television, and then the Cable Commission and all the cities we serve. And we also have an app, and I was able to host or speak at a session where I basically gave them our recipe of what we're doing here with all the things with email marketing and getting content out to people like yourselves every Monday morning, telling people when they can watch things, and just making it easy for people as a value-added service as cable subscribers and the people who simply sign up for internet only. You know, they're paying for service, but they may not have cable, but they're paying for service from Comcast, and so they can see not all of our content, but a lot of the content either on the internet or encoded and sent directly to them. Also had a little ad. This is I'm proud of this one because we have reached a milestone of so this is a little take on words. Everybody uses the word transparency, and so we put together a little ad that says, you know, transparency. It's more than a buzzword at Northwest Community Television. We've covered over 10,000 public meetings. I want to thank Tim Gaffron there over in the corner. He's been part of nearly all those 10,000 meetings in one. And so, and there's a little thing in the bottom, I can't see it, but it says "and counting." And so, you know, we do a lot of meetings, and then we also just say, you know, stay informed 24/7 by watching us. So we're very, very proud of that. And so the other thing I wanted to mention as a segue into what Dave is going to talk about is that and I'll have Dave get into the details of it, but we have been nominated for 3 Emmy Awards, and he'll give you the details on that, so we're very excited about that. And we also received a first place award from the National Press Photographers Association, NPPA. Ben Kroll, one of our photographers, did a great piece on some people in Crystal who have converted their backyards into baseball diamonds. And it was an amazing story. It was well photographed, and you know, to me, I think they might enter that into the Emmys next year. And it was a story put together by both Ben and then Shannon Slatton did a great job on that. So I'm going to segue over to Dave, and I'll give him the control here. We'll go from there. That's the magic button.
Thank you, Mike, and just to follow up on that, we do have some outstanding people that have been with us for quite a few years in a number of different areas, and one of the major competitions is obviously the Midwest Regional Emmys, and we did have 3 that were nominated, and I believe we showed a portion of one of the stories to you maybe a year ago. The Carly Valentine story was one that Shannon and Ben worked on, and just an outstanding story. We'll show a little clip of that in a second. We also had a nomination in the news writing category, in the video journalist category with the Lane Cleveland. And you will recognize a familiar face in one of the first stories here. Someone who used to sit in this room is the subject of one of our stories. Let's take a look.
Yet there's a completely separate segment of the Minnesota population who know him for an entirely different reason. Jamie Verbrugge is also the in-house voice of the Minnesota Golden Gophers, announcing player introductions, scoring, and promotional spots during timeouts.
It's nothing related to city management work.
This year, Carly and her family will deliver more than 600 Valentines. She'll see that excitement, that appreciation in the youngest of faces.
Thank you. You're welcome.
The ones who have a lifetime of love to look forward to. And Carly will also deliver to some of the oldest faces.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you so much, Eddie.
I get a lot of hugs.
Beautiful little girl.
The ones who have a lifetime of love
Happy Valentine's Day.
to remember.
With school not yet in session, the Champlain Park football field serves as a practice space for the band.
Ready? Yep.
But if you look closely this week at the surrounding track, you'll find David Kuhn making the rounds.
The principal and the activities director just welcomed me with open arms.
David made his way here from DeKalb, Illinois, and he's on a mission to run 20 miles a day around the perimeter states of the U.S. until he reaches 11,000 miles.
So congratulations to the staff. It's quite an honor to be nominated, and some of the competition that they face in the Midwest Regional would be KSTP, WCCO, CARE, WDIO, WHO-TV. So major affiliate stations throughout the Midwest area. So again, congratulations to the staff, and I believe the announcement is made sometime in early to mid-October. So we will let you know at the next meeting. I do have a few other video clips to show you. One of the initiatives we started this year was working in our Community Corner program with a new segment every 2 weeks called our Speaker Series feature. What we have noticed over the years and known and covered many times in our news, but not full speeches, is speakers at various Rotary, Lions, Chamber of Commerce, other community meetings. And there's some fantastic speakers that appear. So we decided, let's take an opportunity to go tape the entire speaker with a single camera, make that entire speech available on our website, but then show a short clip within our Community Corner program to tease it, to say, if you're interested in more of this, take a moment to watch. And so recently we went out to the Brooklyn Center Rotary, and Tim O'Neill, the regional analyst from DEED, was there. So just a taste of what was found at one of the Speaker Series features.
Well, during the recession, Brooklyn Center lost about 2,400 jobs, declined by 18%. So the city was hit hard by the recession, but it has gained about 1,500 jobs through 2014, growing by 14%. And again, that's one of the fastest since 2010 for the surrounding region. So it's been growing really fast since 2010, 2011, and it grew really fast between 2013 and 2014. So it's nice to see that growth is continuing to go forward. And then I packed way too much information on this slide. I break the reels of PowerPoint all the time. Extremely sorry.
So we'll look at one of the clips from the Speaker Series feature, and again, on our Community Corner, there'll be about 45 seconds of a soundbite from the speaker, which is normally what you see in a newscast from a speaker, but we thought we'd go the extra mile, and we mentioned in the tease on Community Corner to say, if you'd like to see the entire presentation, go to our website under Speaker Series, and they can click on that and all of those speakers. Next clip I have, it seems like a long time ago. It was about 3 weeks to a month ago that we covered our first sporting event, because they moved everything up this year due to the TCF Bank Stadium being busy for the state football playoffs. So the first game was a natural for us. It was Maple Grove at Osseo football. Here's a short clip.
Second down and 8 coming up here for Gaylord and the Orioles as they put together a nice march. Kelly ripping off a couple of double-digit yard runs. Here's Gaylord throwing it up, looking for Mario Armstrong, touchdown! Wow. Amphy got turned just a little bit late, and Armstrong is a little bit taller, and he's able to haul that one in. 21-yard strike, and Osseo's back in front. Demario Armstrong did a nice job of getting himself in a position, getting the defender's hips turned, and as soon as he did, the ball was there, and he made a nice catch on that, nice clean catch. Plum on for the extra point, and his kick is up, and it is good. And
we'll let the kicker get his moment in the spotlight there. But again, some of the things you might notice as changes there. We have a brand new graphic package that our crew has been working on over the summer, and so some of the transitions into replays and some of the graphics you see on the bottom of the screen are part of that new package. And again, the cameras were updated. They're HD ready and just waiting to show those HD pictures, which again will come November 3rd when we make the switch over to HD. final clip that you'll see is from Community Corner. Again, we work on a regular basis, a new daily segment each day about our area cities and what's happening, and we've had many, many stories about development this year. So I picked one out. This is from the city of New Hope.
In 2012, we were approached by Ron Clark with an idea of putting this building on the property. Compass Point was financed through tax credits through the Minnesota Housing Financing Agency. And essentially what that means is that they got credits through the state to be able to build this product in a manner that is going to be affordable for people who live in here. It's a win-win situation. There's obviously a need for this type of housing. It redeveloped a blighted and underused and underutilized piece of land, and it fulfilled a lot of goals that were set up in our comprehensive plan to make sure that we're establishing the needed housing for any type of individual in the city.
So again, part of our mission with the Community Corner program is to keep in touch with the cities if there's content information that needs to be sent out. Ann and I will be out there to put a story together. Just one other comment related to the HD change. Again, it will be on Election Day is when we're going to make that change over. Hats off to Jamie and Sean, who have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. There's a lot involved. It's not just purchasing equipment, but there's many, many software things that have to be done to make that possible. But we're very excited about that happening, and just to give you the heads up on it, and we have some promotions that are starting. Channel 12 will still be available on Channel 12, and that will be our SD channel. So all subscribers will be able to see that. But Channel 18, which in the past has been our Barker promotional channel for public access, will be the new HD Channel 12. So it's a little confusing, and we're working on ways to try to make that a little bit easier. But again, HD will be Channel 18, 12 will be the SD programming coming up in the future. Any questions? If not, I think Barb is set to come up. We'll get her out of the control room here with a little more information for you.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Let me just get this. Okay, public access update. We had a really busy summer. Busy volunteers. We had a really busy staff. So this is just kind of a rundown of what we had going on. First up, I wanted to bring up July 26th, we started kind of a new endeavor called Taste of the Northwest. It was produced by Nikki Jacket and staffed by all of our volunteers, where we're featuring local restaurants. And so we had 6 local restaurants come in, and I'm just going to show you a clip. It was such a success, I think we really want to continue doing this. The volunteers had a lot of fun, staffed it, and we got really good response back from the local businesses. So
today I am cooking with Dave Zapp, owner of Z Smoke and Bones in Maple Grove. He's heating up the barbecue scene with his unique blends of dry rubs and sauces. We are making a sandwich today that you won't want to miss. Let's take a look. Today we're making our wholehearted barbecue. I trim off most of the fat off. And then another thing that I do, why would you say you do that? I want the smoke to get on the heat. Okay. The fat's going to stop the smoke from getting. Oh, okay. You know?
This was, it was hosted by Alex Desnick. He's a local food blogger, really big on a blog called Heavy Table, and so he came in and hosted it. And it was staffed by all volunteers and staff, and we put together 3 programs, and so those should be coming out here in the next couple of weeks. We're going to air them on our access channels as well as sections of it on Channel 12 as well. So it was so much fun, we want to continue. So we're going to look to possibly do that starting next year. So also, oh nice, Sean. We had a mini conference on August 29th. What we do is we try to offer continuing education classes to our volunteers. So we sponsored just a half day where we had actually 5 different workshops. You see some faces of people who attended. And it was just a way that we could kind of get word out on like some new things coming in, like Final Cut 10, how to use YouTube. We talked about lighting, shooting, and I don't know, I think it was pretty well received, so I think we'll probably look again at maybe trying to do this a couple of times a year from here on out too. Also on our agenda, we have a series time slot lottery that's going to be coming up in September. we have like 62 producers who produce regular programming on our channels, and because we're updating to an HD channel as well as an SD channel, we've had to throw all these time slots up in the air and given everybody a chance to choose new time slots. Some want to stay on standard definition, some want to actually go to HD, and so that is going to be happening here September 23rd. We've never done a lottery here, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be open to the public. We're serving popcorn, and it'll give people a chance to realign. We're also doing it ahead of time. We're going to be also making that changeover on November 3rd to our HD channel, so that'll give people time to actually promote their new time slots as well. Also, I just wanted to show you a couple of promos that we worked on. Nikki has put in this is her third Share Your Passion promotion. And then I also have one from we're calling them city-specific promos, where we're featuring volunteers from each of our cities that we're going to be playing on Channel 16 as well as on the Access channels. And you might recognize a face in that one. So here are the two back-to-back.
Volunteering is more than just a word. It's a window to opportunities. Take Mark, for example. By taking free TV classes at Northwest Community Television, Mark is helping bring entertainment and information to his community, along with building a foundation of skills that will take him one step closer to his dreams. Share your passion. Visit NWCT.org.
Hi, I'm Donald and I'm from Osseo.
Did you know that as a resident of Osseo, you have an all-access pass to Northwest Community Television? You can produce your own show or help other residents create theirs.
I like NWCT because it's free and I get to work the cameras and editing equipment, and guys, I encourage you to take advantage of it.
Ready to produce your own TV show? Visit NWCT.org. Get your all-access pass today.
So there'll be a different one for each city. So it's been a fun project. Roger's been putting that together. And then finally, it's a sad day for us. Roger is moving over to Channel 12 full time. And so we are in the process of hiring a new Roger here in Access. We will miss him, but as he says to me, he goes, Barb, I'll be around. I said, okay, good. And then I just wanted to introduce you to Trudy. Trudy is our new Nancy. Trudy started, 3 weeks ago almost? And so she's kind of getting the lay of the land, and so I wanted to just put a little something up on those two. But any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. Tim.
Sneaking up behind me.
Just a couple of things to touch on here with regards to Webb and City. The stats are in your packet. Have included more historical stats this time for 12.TV and the web streaming going back to 2008, as you'll notice. One thing of note, in 2014 we had 1.2 million plus YouTube views of Channel 12 and other programming on YouTube. We're well on our way to exceeding that number for this year. We're over 1 million views right now, and so I expect that we'll be closer to 1.3, 1.4 million by the end of the year. We'll see what happens. So there's a lot of interest in the programming that's going on here. A couple of projects that are ongoing. We're converting the Channel 16s for each city to a 16:9 format. We're doing the Southside New Hope hub site cities first, so that's Crystal, Robbinsdale, Golden Valley, New Hope. All the signals come from City Hall back to the New Hope Comcast hub site, and then those signals will be transferred up here. We are trying to put in better lines for that using fiber optic wherever possible. And the goal is we're going to be moving the City Hall-based Channel 16 equipment to Northwest Community Television to our facility here to better manage it and improve the signal quality on Channel 16 using the fiber optic system, as I mentioned. as much as we can versus coaxial, and also to better manage the equipment. Just kind of an FYI, we have 27-plus computers in 9 different cities right now that Sean has to manage, and that we have to go out and sometimes troubleshoot them on site. And so as much as we can move that equipment back here, it consolidates our efforts a little bit, makes us a little more efficient, and hopefully the signal paths will be better. So 2/3 of those computers will be moving here. The other thing I'll mention is we have safety procedures now in place and posted at each city hall for our crews. In the control rooms, the crews have been oriented to the procedures. We have various instructions on what to do in case something goes on, and it's whether it's weather related or medical related or something else, how to handle it. Building evacuation, safety areas in case there's a weather issue or something like that. And then we've also been installing peepholes in the control room doors and have instructed our crews to keep the doors closed and locked for the control rooms now. And these are all recommendations that came out of the safety group that met from the commission. And so that is almost done as far as the peepholes. We've got a couple of cities where we have a window next to the door or something. We probably won't have a peephole put in, but we're just about done with that process. So that's all I really have, unless there's any questions on anything. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just want to mention that before you adjourn, that the people who are part of because we have some new members in the Budget Committee. Donald Jackson, Zipporah will be part of that meeting, which will take place immediately following this meeting, along with our Executive Committee members, Al Mattson, Ann Norris. Bill Blonigan, I don't think will be there, but Helen LaFave and Jim Willis.
Okay. Anything else for the Board of Directors? A motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Being seconded, all those in favor? Thank you very much.